You've been trying to hold everything together for so long that you don't even remember what it feels like to relax. Every outcome, every reaction, every possible disaster, you've been rehearsing it in your mind, hoping that if you think hard enough, you can prevent it. But instead of feeling safe, you feel exhausted. Instead of feeling prepared, you feel anxious. Life doesn't seem lighter, it feels heavier. And deep down, you know something has to change. Watch this video till the end. Subscribe, and like to begin releasing what you were never meant to control. You don't even realize when it started. At first, it felt responsible, mature, strong. You were just trying to handle things, to make sure nothing slipped through the cracks, to prevent mistakes, to avoid chaos. You told yourself that if you stayed alert, if you planned enough, if you anticipated every possible outcome, you could protect your life from falling apart. But somewhere along the way, responsibility turned into pressure, and pressure turned into obsession. Now your mind never rests. You replay conversations long after they end. You imagine worst-case scenarios before anything even happens. You feel tense when things are uncertain, uneasy when you don't have answers, irritated when people don't act the way you expected. You call it being prepared. You call it caring. But deep down, it's something else. It's fear dressed up as control. You learned, maybe without realizing it, that control made you feel safe. Maybe life once felt unpredictable. Maybe something slipped out of your hand before, and the impact was painful. So you made a quiet promise to yourself, never again. Never again will I be caught off guard. Never again will I feel powerless. So you tightened your grip. You started managing not just your responsibilities, but other people's emotions. You tried to steer outcomes. You tried to predict reactions. You tried to eliminate uncertainty before it had the chance to hurt you. And the more you tried control, the more your anxiety grew. Because control doesn't remove fear. It feeds it. Every new variable becomes a threat. Every delay becomes a warning sign. Every unanswered message becomes a story in your head. You think you're protecting your peace, but you're actually exhausting it. You think you're preventing chaos, but you're creating tension inside yourself. Control promises security, but it delivers constant vigilance. And constant vigilance is exhausting. The truth is, you were never meant to carry the weight of the entire future on your shoulders. You were never meant to monitor every detail, predict every outcome, or manage every reaction. Life was never designed to be controlled that tightly. The breakthrough begins the moment you see it clearly. Your need to control is not strength. It's a coping mechanism. It's a shield you built when you felt vulnerable. And shields are heavy. When you finally allow yourself to loosen your grip, even slightly, something unexpected happens. The world doesn't collapse. The sky doesn't fall. What collapses instead is the illusion that you were ever in full control to begin with. And in that realization, there's relief. Because you don't have to control everything to survive it. You don't have to manage every outcome to handle it. The strength you were looking for was never in control. It was always in your ability to adapt, to endure, and to move forward even when you couldn't predict what was coming next. Your mind doesn't rest. Even when nothing is happening, it's happening inside you. You're running simulations of disasters that haven't occurred. You're rehearsing conversations that may never take place. You're preparing for losses that don't exist yet. And you tell yourself this is maturity. You tell yourself this is being responsible. But it's not peace. It's pressure. Somewhere along the way, you started believing that if you could predict the worst, you could survive it better. If you expect disappointment, it won't hurt as much. If you imagine failure, you won't be shocked by it. So you scan for threats. You analyze tone changes. You overthink pauses. You treat uncertainty like an emergency. And slowly, your own thought becomes the storm. Worry disguises itself as preparation. It whispers that if you stay mentally ahead of life, you'll stay safe. But what it doesn't tell you is that constant anticipation keeps your body in survival mode. Your shoulders stay tense. Your chest feels tight. You struggle to enjoy good moments because part of you is waiting for them to end. You call it thinking ahead, but it's actually living ahead. You're never fully here, not in conversations, not in victories, not even in silence, because your mind is always trying to get somewhere before life does. And the cost of that is your presence. The cost is your energy. The cost is your ability to breathe without feeling like something is about to go wrong. Uncertainty feels dangerous to you. It feels like standing on unstable ground. So you try to stabilize it with thoughts. More thinking, more planning, more analyzing. But uncertainty doesn't shrink just because you stay at it longer. It expands. And the more you try to calculate every possibility, the more possibilities your mind creates. It becomes a cycle, a daily burden you wake up carrying before your feet even touch the floor. But here's the shift. Life has never asked you to predict it. It has only asked you to face it when it arrives. You were never meant to live in constant rehearsal mode. You were meant to respond, not pre-suffer. There's strength in preparation, yes, but there's exhaustion in obsession. And you've been confusing the two. The breakthrough begins when you realize that worrying does not reduce pain. It only extends it. It makes you experience the same fear twice, once in your head and once in reality. And when you finally understand that you don't have to mentally time travel into every possible disaster, something inside you loosens. You begin to see that your power is not in predicting life. It's in trusting yourself to handle it when it actually happens. You carry weight that was never assigned to you, and you've been carrying it for so long that it feels normal. When someone around you is struggling, you immediately feel responsible. When something goes wrong, your mind searches for how you could have prevented it. When people are upset, you assume it's your job to fix the mood, repair the damage, restore the balance. You don't just care. You absorb. You step into situations that were never yours to control. You offer solutions before anyone asks. You lose sleep over problems that don't belong to you. And if things still fall apart, you blame yourself for not doing enough. That's the exhausting part. No matter how much you give, it never feels sufficient. Somewhere along the way, you confuse love with rescue. You started believing that being dependable meant being responsible for everything. You told yourself that if you could just manage the pieces carefully enough, no one would suffer. But life doesn't work that way. People make their own choices. Situations unfold beyond your reach. Outcomes are shaped by forces you cannot see. And yet, you keep stepping forward like it's all on you. Over-responsibility feels noble at first. It makes you feel needed, important, strong. But slowly, it drains you. Your energy gets thinner. Your boundaries disappear. You start feeling resentment you don't want to admit. Because deep down, you know you're giving more than you can sustain. You're trying to fix storms that aren't yours to calm. The shift begins when you recognize a hard truth. Caring does not mean controlling. Supporting does not mean sacrificing yourself. And loving someone does not mean carrying the consequences of their decisions. You are allowed to have limits. Letting go of what isn't yours doesn't make you cold. It makes you aware. It means you trust others to face their own battles. It means you stop tying your worth to outcomes you cannot guarantee. It means you understand that your role in someone's life is to walk beside them, not to carry them. When you finally release the weight that was never yours, you don't become indifferent. You become balanced. You show up with strength instead of exhaustion. You care without collapsing. You support without drowning. And in that moment, you realize something powerful. You were never meant to fix everything. You were meant to protect your own energy, honor your own limits, and stand strong without losing yourself in the process. You really believe that if you plan carefully enough, you could avoid getting hurt. If you chose the right people, said the right words, made the right moves, you could protect yourself from disappointment. You built strategies around your heart. You calculated risks in relationships. You tried to see every ending before it happened, but pain still found you. It came through rejection you didn't expect, through losses you couldn't prepare for, through moments where everything looked stable on the surface, and then suddenly it wasn't. And when it happened, you didn't just feel hurt. You felt betrayed by your own effort. You thought, I did everything right. How did this still happen? That's a part no one wants to accept. Control cannot cancel pain. It can delay it. It can disguise it. It can make you feel temporarily secure. But it cannot remove the human experience of loss, disappointment, or change. No amount of overthinking can shield your heart from reality. No amount of preparation can guarantee that people won't leave, opportunities won't collapse, or plans won't fail. And when you try to outmaneuver pain, something subtle happens. You become tense, guarded. You start filtering your joy. You hesitate before fully opening up. You hold back parts of yourself just in case things fall apart. You don't realize it, but in trying to avoid pain, you also avoid depth. You avoid vulnerability. You avoid real connection. You trade aliveness for safety. The truth is difficult, but it is freeing. Pain is not proof that you failed. It is proof that you felt something real. It is proof that you were present. Being human means sometimes being hurt. There is no strategy powerful enough to erase that. And when you stop fighting this reality, something inside you softens. You begin to see that vulnerability is not weakness. It is courage. It is allowing yourself to love, to try, to hope, even when there are no guarantees. It is stepping into life without armor thick enough to suffocate you. You don't need control to survive pain. You need resilience. You need the quiet confidence that even if something breaks, you will not. Because a breakthrough is this. Pain may visit you, but it does not define you. It does not diminish you. And it does not mean you were foolish for caring. It means you were brave enough to live fully in a world that offers no promises. Letting go feels like stepping off a cliff without knowing if there's ground beneath you. Every instinct in your body resists it. You tighten your grip. You tell yourself to hold on a little longer, push a little harder, try one more time. Because surrender, to you, has always sounded like failure, like admitting you weren't strong enough, like losing. So you stay in the tension. You stay in conversations that drain you, in situations that clearly aren't changing, in battles that have already taken more from you than they've given. And you call it perseverance. You call it loyalty. You call it strength. But if you're honest, it feels more like exhaustion. It feels like dragging something heavy long after it has stopped moving. What scares you most about surrender isn't the outcome. It's the identity shift. If you stop fighting, who are you? If you release control, what defines you? You've built so much of yourself around being the one who fixes, who pushes, who refuses to quit. The idea of loosening your grip feels like collapsing. But surrender is not collapse. Collapse is giving up on yourself. Surrender is choosing yourself. Surrender is the moment you look at reality without distortion. It's when you stop trying to force a door that clearly won't open. It's when you accept that not everything is meant to bend to your will. There's clarity in that acceptance. There's honesty in it. And honesty is powerful. You begin to see that constant resistance has been costing you your peace. Every time you try to control what cannot be controlled, you created tension inside your own body. Every time you refuse to release what was already slipping away, you tighten the knot around your own chest. Surrender doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care about your well-being enough to stop fighting losing battles. It means you understand that growth sometimes looks like walking away, not pushing forward. It means you recognize that strength is not measured by how long you endure pain, but by how wisely you choose your battles. When you finally let go, there is a strange quiet that follows. Not emptiness, not defeat, just space. Space to breathe, space to think clearly, space to feel without constant pressure. And in that space, you realize something that changes everything. You were never losing by surrendering. You were finally strong enough to stop fighting what was already over. Your mood rises and falls with outcomes. When things go your way, you feel powerful. When they don't, you feel shaken. One message can lift you. One delay can disturb you. One success makes you confident. One setback makes you question everything. You've been living on a roller coaster, and you've been calling it normal. But deep down, you're tired of being pulled up and down by things you can't fully control. You've tied your stability to results, to approval, to timing, to whether life cooperates with your plans. So every outcome becomes a verdict. If it works, you breathe easier. If it fails, you spiral. Your peace is constantly negotiated by circumstances, and circumstances are never consistent. That's why you feel unstable. You've been trying to build security on shifting ground. You've been trying to find calm in things that change daily. And when they change, you feel like you're losing yourself. But stability was never meant to come from outcomes. It was meant to come from you. There is a version of you that is not shattered by delay, a version that is not inflated by praise or destroyed by criticism, a version that understands that results are events, not identities. That version doesn't ignore disappointment. It feels it, but it doesn't become it. Real strength is not controlling what happens. It's controlling how deeply it controls you. When you begin to regulate your response instead of obsessing over results, something powerful shifts. You pause before reacting. You breathe before assuming. You stop allowing every external event to define your internal state. You recognize that your thoughts, your perspective, your composure, these are yours to manage. And that changes everything. Because once your peace is internal, outcomes lose their power to destabilize you. Wins become appreciated, not required. Losses become lessons, not identity crises. Delays become pauses, not disasters. You stop living at the mercy of circumstances. You begin living from a place of grounded awareness. This doesn't mean you stop caring about results. It means your worth is no longer attached to them. It means you understand that life will always move unpredictably, but you don't have to. The breakthrough happens quietly. One day you notice that something didn't go your way, and you're still steady. You're still clear. You're still yourself. And in that moment, you realize true stability was never something the world could give you. It was something you had to build within. You feel it all the time. The tension, the tight knot in your chest that never fully releases. You plan, you anticipate, you strategize, and yet life still surprises you. People change. Opportunities vanish. Moments slip through your fingers. And every time it happens, a small voice inside whispers, "What if this time you can't handle it? What if this time it breaks you?" You live in that voice, carrying the weight of every possibility that hasn't even happened yet, and you call it being careful. But being careful has been exhausting you. You've been trying to make life predictable, as if certainty is the only way to survive. And while you've been gripping so tightly, you've missed the quiet pulse of life underneath. The laughter that rises suddenly, the moments that catch you off guard, the opportunities you never saw coming because you were too busy holding on. You believe that control equals safety, that foresight equals strength. But the truth is, the more you try to hold the future in your hands, the more your present slips through your fingers. The shift begins the moment you see that certainty is an illusion. You begin to notice that life doesn't need you to predict it, only to respond. That the moments you feared losing are the very ones that teach you how to live. That your power isn't in controlling the outcome, it's in moving forward even when the path is unclear. Walking without certainty is terrifying at first. Your instincts scream, slow down, step back, wait for the answers. But step forward anyway. Each uncertain step feels heavy at first, like you're balancing on air. But the more you trust yourself to move without knowing, the lighter your steps become. You discover that fear doesn't disappear, but it shrinks relative to your courage. You learn to carry it without letting it dictate your pace. And then something shifts inside you. The constant mental grip loosens. The tension in your chest begins to ease. You realize that life's unpredictability is not a threat. It is a stage on which you can finally stand fully alive. You see that freedom is not a result you achieve, but a state you create when you stop demanding guarantees from the world. You start noticing the spaces between moments, the quiet, the unknown, the possibility. And you finally understand, you don't need certainty to live fully. You only need yourself, present, willing, and awake. In that space, you realize the truth you've been avoiding. The world will never promise you certainty, but it has always offered you life. And for the first time, you're ready to take it as it comes, open, unguarded, unstoppable.